Welcome everyone to the Project Highlights track presentation on the iMove Design Build project. I'm John Meyer from H&B Professional Engineers, and I want to thank you for joining us today. Presenting for us today, we have Chris Slone from KYTC District 5 and iMove Kentucky Project Manager for KYTC, and Peter Overmohle from American Engineers and Hall American Design Build Project Manager for iMove Kentucky. And without further delay, I will hand it over to Chris to begin the presentation.
Thanks, John. Welcome everybody for coming. I appreciate it today, everybody coming in and coming to this session. I know there were a lot of good choices out there, and Peter and I thank you all for coming and looking at this one as opposed to some of the other ones. This is about the iMove Kentucky project, the design build project in the Louisville area. And we're going to go over where we're at now and how we got here. And then I'm going to sort of cover the initial and construction. And Peter's going to go over quite a bit of the design stuff that they've been working with on the project. The KYTC mission, I know you all have seen this in a lot of presentations. And honestly, on this job, this is the closest I've got to fulfilling all of the items on this mission. We're trying to do everything we can to provide a safe, efficient, fiscally responsible transportation system. And nothing highlights it more than a design build. As fast as things are moving on a daily basis, we do look at every part of this KYTC mission as we do any part of the job. So this has become a very valuable thing to look at and something that all of us are trying to work toward as we try to complete this project. Some of the project objectives we started with the project were the main things we wanted to accomplish were improve the safety and the congestion on a busy freight corridor. These four areas that we're going to talk about today are also high commuter traffic as long as very busy freight corridors around the Louisville, Oldham County, Northern Kentucky, Southern Indiana area. So we wanted to look at projects that would give the biggest bang for the buck to help relieve the pressure on the busy freight areas and also the commuter traffic as well. We want to make sure we provide a lower cost solution to build these priority projects. Initially, these were four separate projects that got combined into a larger design build, and we'll go over more on that here in a minute. We want to try to lessen the construction impact for the people that use these corridors. Being that we're stretched over a very large area, almost 22.5 linear miles, having these done as separate jobs would be harder for separate contractors to coordinate with each other and try to lessen the impact on travelers as they move through the corridors. And the main thing we want to do is improve existing roads and bridges that we have with what funds we have available. The project budget for this project is $180 million for the four areas that we're going to talk about. This is the project highlight area. We tried a map early on, but this works out much better. Map, you really don't get to see it justified to the scale of it. The project begins on I-265, starts at Kentucky 155, which is Taylorsville Road, runs north, encompasses the I-64, I-265 interchange, north from there up I-265, all the way to I-71 for the I-71 Gene Snyder interchange, and then runs north on I-71 up to exit 14 Crestwood interchange. So it's a very large area. Like I said, about 22.5 linear miles of total roadway widening over a very large swath. What we really wanted to highlight here was the safety opportunities in this corridor. Each of these areas broken down here, as you all can see hopefully on the screen, have real high accident rates over 3-year crash data. I-71 with 360, the 71-265 interchange, and especially the I-64, I-265 interchange. That's the highest. By looking at the crash data on that, about 64% of those accidents at the Gene Snyder and I-64 were rear end accidents, and most of those occurring throughout the peak hours in the morning and the afternoon. So that area backs up heavily. As well does the I-71, I-265 interchange. And both those areas are very congested. and have a large backup in the mornings and the afternoons, which gives a high rate of rear-end collisions. So like I said earlier, this project is made up of 4 separate projects. The first one being the I-265 widening project. When this project was put together, the shift ranking on this project was #1 in the state. What we hope to do is expand I-265 to 6 lanes in both directions. We will widen all the bridges that are currently there, and we'll address any bridge or pavement needs as we move along the project. I do have a poll on this, and I'll let you all look at this. We'll go ahead and take this poll, and then we'll move on. So the poll is, the current drive from Taylorsville Road to I-71, about 12 miles, currently takes less than 20 minutes. What is the predicted travel time in 2045 without any corridor improvements? 2045 was the design year that most of this traffic modeling was based on for all of this project. So that's why 2045 is what you see as the design year. Looks like we still have a couple more coming in. All right, so what we actually have by looking at the B was the first answer at 48 minutes, 44% of the votes. Actually, the answer to this is A, 95 minutes, which actually in your all polling got the least amount of votes at 12%. So given no changes throughout this corridor in the year 2045, the traffic modeling showed that the travel time from Taylorsville Road to I-71 was going to end up being about 95 minutes, as opposed to the 20 minutes it currently takes. All right, let me close that one. The original cost for this, the original 6-year plan cost estimate on this project for the first part was $78 million. The second part of the job is the I-71 I-265 interchange. This was originally ranked 6th in the shift ranking, and it's not a full reconstruction of the project. It's adding a collector distributor lane for I-71 southbound, and you'll be able to see that in one of the pictures we have later much more clearly. Currently, dealing with what we have on the job, there's quite a bit of difference between traffic coming into the interchange and traffic trying to merge through the clover leaves. So what we're really trying to do is keep the slower traffic by themselves so they can merge better on and off, and let the higher speed traffic in the main line keep moving without interfering with that merging traffic. This is mostly a safety and mobility improvement part of the project, and the original cost estimate was $4 million for that piece. The third part is the I-71 widening part of the project. This had an original shift ranking of number 11. And this is to expand I-71 to 6 lanes from the Gene Snyder to Kentucky 329 in Oldham County. This part of the project has 5 bridges on it, 5 existing bridges. All of those have reached the end of their design life and will be completely reconstructed. We hope to significantly reduce congestion in this area and make everything else back up to current standards. I-71 for years has had different projects. So we're actually using a engineer grade on this to help bring back the current grades and profiles of 71 as it should be. And the estimated cost on the 71 part of the project was originally $59 million. All right, before we get to the I-64, I-265 interchange, I do have another poll that I want to let you all look at. And this deals with the interchange at I-64 and I-265. So the poll is, what is the current average annual daily traffic for the I-64, I-265 interchange? And this is going through all legs of the interchange. All right, some of those are still coming in. It looks like we got most of them though. So actually B is correct. It's about 162,000 vehicles per day. And I know half the audience here has worked on the project in some form or manner. So good job, guys. You actually read up on the project. This gives a significant problem with maintenance of traffic. Anytime where you're trying to deal with 162,000 vehicles per day in any type of area is a major problem. So this part of the project was originally shift rank number 33. It is a major reconstruction of a interchange with 2 interstates involved. And like I said, it does have a large congestion area and backup. Heading eastbound in the afternoon, you'll see that it backs up pretty much to Blankenbaker Parkway almost every day. And that contributes to those 900 crashes that you saw over a 3-year period. If you come through there pretty much on any day of the week, you'll see one of those rear-end collisions. The main things we wanted to do was to avoid any major utility crossings. Just to the north on the Gene Snyder of the existing interchange, there's an AT&T legacy line that crosses us, and LG&E also has a large transmission line that crosses over us as well. So we wanted to not have to influence those utility crossings. And the main thing we want to do is also maintain our existing right-of-way footprint, which at this point we've been able to maintain. So we're not adding any new right-of-way within the interchange area. So we decided to go, KYTC decided to go with a design build approach for this project. I want to thank Mr. John Moore and Paul Looney and Gary Valentine and Andy Barber when this job was created to have the foresight to look into this. In order to keep this larger area together, they decided to do it by a design build job, hoping that they could coordinate through construction with the maintenance of traffic, which I think is being done fairly well. What we hope to do is we hope to seek better value from the design build teams, improve the coordination during the construction activities, which means have less contractors to deal with while we do all 4 projects. We want to expedite the project and hopefully add to lower actual costs on the project with it going for a shorter duration. Limit the amount of cost escalation that we had during construction. We wanted to address the bridge maintenance needs and also the pavement needs. We are doing that. We have got into quite a bit of the bridge maintenance work, and I'll cover that here in just a minute. And all this was thanks to the House Bill 385 that was passed in 2018 that increased KYTC's authorization to do design build projects. With that, also with the approach of this and assessing what we currently have, the lighting is getting highly upgraded on the project. A lot of the high mast lighting for the different areas is getting rebuilt. And then a lot of the lighting that will be existing on the project that we'll be maintaining is getting converted to LEDs. So this is the original schedule that we were looking at for the 4 projects. The I-71, I-265 interchange was supposed to go on during the year 2020. And then the I-265 widening stretched out until a completion date of 2026. And what we were able to do with the design build approach is pretty much move all these in, still having the interchange finish at the end of 2020 and being able to bring the rest of the projects in to a completion date in 2023. Project coordination has been a large part of this project. So there is a project office that myself, as long as part of Hall Contracting, uses. It is open and houses both the KYTC team and the Hall team. The design team is still in their respective offices. Being that we are in an office setting, we are making sure that we monitor social distancing and all the COVID protocols that are being set forth by the cabinet and the governor. Masks are worn outside the office, outside your space. Anytime you're in a common area, you do use those protocols. We try to limit the amount of meetings that we have on a daily basis. Most of the meetings are held informally as items arise and change. We have not been having any type of large gatherings at this point, and we'll continue to monitor that as the COVID regulations move forward from here. The big part of the project between us and between KYTC and Hall Contracting is that we try to handle issues at the lowest level possible. If the inspector and the foreman in the field can figure out the problem on their own, then that's where the problem needs to end. It does get moved through the ranks depending on what the problem is and what is going on at the location. KYTC and the contractor, Hall and AEI, have definitely tried to establish a team mentality on this job. We understand that we are with each other for the next 3.5 years throughout this project being complete, and we're going to work together as a team to get that done. So a lot of the problems or a lot of the issues that arise on normal jobs for KYTC that I've been involved in the past, we haven't had the issues here as of yet, mostly because we talk to each other pretty much on a daily basis, and we'll actually bounce ideas off of each other before we move forward on one of those ideas. We do have a submittal process we use. Excuse me. The design build team has broken the project into 50 buildable units. And that does seem like a lot for a design build job, but they think that's the most effective way for them to handle the project as a whole. Currently, 23 of these 50 buildable units have either had design or construction activity occur since the project was awarded. At KYTC and our staff, we have currently processed 175 separate submittals for these buildable units. So each buildable unit has different aspects of it that will come in plan-wise for review, and I'm sure Peter will talk about that here more in just a minute. Right now, KYTC has an average turnaround of about 7 days or less on each of those submittals. So most of the submittals give us 14 days to complete and return the submittal, and right now we're about half of that time frame. Who makes up the KYTC project team? So we use a lot of subject matter experts who are used to help review the plans and documents. And I want to thank all those people that have been involved with this, especially QK4, Michael Baker, Jason Hyatt, the traffic division at KYTC, Joe Van Zee in the structural design, Michael Carpenter and the guys at Geotech. And there's so many others, Todd Hood at Trimark, Ted Swansiger. It is these cabinet employees and some of the consultants that we use is the reason that the review plans and the documents are going back at such a great rate. Without these subject matter experts, we would not be able to complete what we've completed so far. So I want to thank all you. If you're out there and you're watching, thank you very much. C2 Strategic is leading the public information campaign for the iMove project. There is a website, i-moveky.com, if you want to find it. There's also a great Facebook page as part of the project that they lead up. And they do a wonderful job. Weekly, they send out a construction, what's going on the site. And I think they're doing a wonderful job. We have had very little news coverage, and actually the amount of complaints we've had from the public has been very small as well. As for the actual team working on the project on a daily basis, we do have three full-time engineers working on the project. Myself as the project manager. There's an engineer here from QK4 that is in charge of document control. He does a wonderful job. It's a very, very hard project. Being the amount of paperwork and submittals that come in on a daily basis, it's a full-time. We do have a resident engineer over the construction activities that him and I work with on a daily basis for things that are going in construction on the project. There is an office manager that helps keep all of us in line on a daily basis. I want to thank her if she's out there listening. And then we have a current inspection staff of 5 full-time inspectors. 2 of those are from KYTC and 3 are from one of our consultant partners. I talked earlier about a little bit of, we're doing quite a bit of bridge maintenance on the contract. Originally, we had scheduled $11.5 million was the initial estimate for bridge maintenance item. If you've ever done a bridge maintenance job, you know that most time, very rarely they ever come in as what they were estimated at. And we've had the same issue as well as any normal job. This is one of our wonderful pier caps at Kentucky 22, Gene Snyder over Kentucky 22 actually. We started doing some patching on it and found out that the concrete is not as strong as we hoped it would be. So we have had some unforeseen conditions on that and have been working with the contractor for ways to repair or replace this pier cap. We were able to do chloride and compressive testing on the existing concrete by taking cores of it. And then the contractor has submitted comparisons for either repair or replacement of those. We've been working with KYTC Bridge Maintenance and the district bridge engineer on what the best options would be for this pier cap. I think at this time we're actually looking to completely replace the pier cap as part of the project because realistically it came in about the same as repair by the time you add carbon fiber and some other items to it. This is the CD ramp improvements. This is the grading overview. And you can start to see from this picture that it's starting to come along. You can actually tell where the CD will be going and how it will tie in with the existing loop ramps on I-71 southbound. This is some other. In order to make room for the CD ramp to come through, we had to have some extra room under the bridge. So a soil nail wall was built under the I-265 bridges to give that extra lane. And this is some pictures of the initial row of nails going in, the top row. The left one, they're working on the initial nails, and same on the right. They're putting in some of the initial nails on the top row of the project. These pictures are also the soil nail wall construction. After the nails were installed, the contractor came in and shotcreted the face with the nails and studs in place. And then the picture on the right is that wall gets an 8-inch cast in place wall over the shotcrete to help secure for longevity. So that's a picture of the cast in place wall going in. It does have a form liner on it and is currently almost complete. Probably the most interesting part we have going on in the project right now is a culvert extension on I-71 north and southbound. These culverts were built in 1967. They're 20 by 16 arches, concrete arches. And the interesting part of this has been that the main part of this, the reason we don't build arch culverts like this anymore. Very rarely have I ever seen one of these arches that we have tried to add on to or extend or build in the near future. The problem with extending them is if you build a culvert this large, you expect a large amount of water to go through it. And this year we've had quite a bit of water and rainfall, and we fought water for quite a bit of the time. And just finding the forms and different materials to add on to a culvert like this has been rather challenging for the contractor. There's also work going on down in I-265 in the section between Taylorsville Road and I-64. Median drainage is currently being installed. There are no utility relocations on this buildable unit, and the shoulder widening was used to facilitate the installation of the barrier wall. So they've about installed all the median pipe drains and boxes and should be getting to cement stabilization in the near future for this section. We do have a couple of bridges that have started. We're getting ready to begin this week the bridge at Brownsboro Road at Kentucky 1694 over I-71. This has been the majority of most of our major utility relocations. We've had a major water line that has had to be relocated. We've completed a large retaining wall as part of the new bridge, and then the bridge will have to be completed in 3 different phases while leaving the existing bridge open to traffic. I just want to point out some of our other partners, Michael Baker, QK4, S&ME, and C2 Strategic, and also the Federal Highway Administration. So with that, I will turn it over to Peter.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Not knowing what dress code is for these virtual meetings, I decided to wear a tie anyways. I think it was with me, ties Sometimes they're a little bit short, but you all just seen the top half here. It's no worries on that. So anyways, thanks, Chris. As Chris mentioned, my name is Peter Overmohle, the design PM for the Hall American Design Build team. I'd like to just start off by introducing the design build team. Prime contractor, Hall Contracting. American Engineers AEI is the prime engineering firm. Our design sub-consultants are Burgess, Nipel, Palmer, DLZ, Terracon, and Gresham Smith. The entire design build team shares responsibilities in delivery of the iMove project with and for the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. Our team was selected based on experience, project knowledge, having the subject matter experts needed to complete the project. We have multiple subject matter SMEs on our team to cover the multiple design related disciplines, including environmental, geotechnical, roadway, design structures, right-of-way, ITS, lighting, utility relocation, QA/QC, and project management. This is just kind of a clip. I know you can't read that, but that's majority of the leads and maybe one step underneath the leads of the team. One thing to note on this, discipline leads are responsible for communicating to their teams, whether they are part of their own firm or another firm on the project. Team management meetings are held with a few folks, mostly the leads and the contractor, which has worked out well, especially with the COVID-19 we're all working in. The org chart has been followed with little changes, and communication and management design files with project-wise has worked very well. I wanted to get into and just kind of start off the pre-award prior to us being the Hall American team being awarded the project. Basically, in May 31st to October 15th, we worked on the proposal. It included the technical proposal, a variable scope, best value proposal, which I'll get into ATCs. I'll talk about a little bit as well, and one-on-one meetings with KYTC and the GEC team. So the one-on-one meetings was nice. I've been on other design build projects. Only one other one we had these one-on-one meetings, but some smaller design builds they didn't. It's able to go in there and discuss some things that you have questions about and get those out there and see what the response is from the highway department prior to the proposal. The technical proposal includes project schedule, organization, management, roadway design concepts, bridge structures, and geotechnical concepts. Part D was mostly the contractor with his management plan, quality plan, safety plan. Billable units, as Chris mentioned, there's about 50 of them. We talked about those and how we're going to do that prior to the being awarded the project, and it was in our proposal. Of course, utility coordination relocation was a big part of this job as well, and continue to work through that. But so variable scope, best value proposal. What that means is the project has an upset limit. This particular one had $180 million, and the scope is variable to a degree. There is a base package that's required to be completed. Chris went over that. Those 4 projects, I-71 CD, at 265, the I-71 widening, I-265 and 64 interchange, and the I-265 widening itself. Those were, you had to bid on those. That was part of the 180 and had to be part of it. And in addition to that, there was 10 other variable scopes. They're listed here. Some of them were small, just widening a ramp. Others included US 60 widening. So obviously at the time we're doing this, putting this together, we didn't know what the cost was. The contractor, he wasn't going to just assumed that he could build all of that for 180. We ended up designing to a pretty good degree the plans on each one of those, so we knew what kind of quantities we had and we could bid that. At the end, we bid the base scope only. However, there is some potential cost savings going on that one or more of these may be included. Part of the proposal process prior to sending it in, we had ATCs, which is alternative technical concepts for the department to review and give us feedback whether or not it was okay or not to go forward on it. These concepts would have to stay within the defined scope of the project. In other words, they need to be better or equal to the scope itself. Even if an ATC was approved, it didn't mean the concept was approved for design. The design build team would still have to develop it completely and get approval after the award. What you're looking at here is ATC 1. In black is well, I'll just say in red is the proposed interchange I-265 and 64. It's considered a partial turbine where they eliminated the two loop ramps east of I-265 and two flyover ramps. The I-64 east to I-265 north movement, ramp H, and the I-265 north to I-64 westbound movement, ramp A, had the two highest volume ramps on the project there, and those are being eliminated with these flyovers. So in red, you see ramp H going on 64 if you're going eastbound to northbound I-265, it's on the inside, and then the I-265 northbound to 64 westbound is on the outside. We basically flopped those two ramps, had them combined together as with one bridge over 64. The advantages we saw were a lot of it was as mains of traffic phasing. We were able to eliminate a couple phases. And as Chris said, MOT on this job is huge, especially with the interchange. Anything that we could knock out would be an advantage for us. Also, it kind of eliminated some temporary widening, and the one bridge versus the two, I think we're able to save some costs there as well. This slide shows kind of a rendering of that. Ramp H going underneath 265, come around to the outside as ramp A going north on 265, going over ramp H and around, making the one bridge over 64. If we have time, we've got a video rendering of this, and it'll kind of put it all in perspective. The other ATC, we called, it was our ATC 5. We had 5 of these. Not all of them were accepted. I think we had 3 out of the 5 accepted. It was submitted and approved. The proposed bridge was to replace this arch culvert. There's probably a road there that most people don't even know about. Avoca and Quarry Road. It's under I-265, just south of the Old Henry interchange. It's by the quarry. Mostly just quarry trucks use it to get from one side to the other. So the ITP scope was to use a steel plate liner. We felt that there were some construction issues that outweighed the cost of our proposal of a pre-stressed concrete bridge. And we had the success designing and constructing a bridge similar to this, where you build the bridge leave the culvert in place, build the bridge over the culvert, and basically dig out the culvert after the bridge is in place. Obviously leaves, for the most part, you can leave the keep mains traffic going. The other advantages, we were able to The bridge is going to be wide enough to have basically 2 lanes. It's 24-foot wide versus the 12-foot that it is today. I think long-term maintenance on the bridge is going to be much better than the culvert, and probably a little bit less liability for the department as well. So we thought it was kind of basically a win-win for both us and the department. Proposal was due October 15th. There was a public opening on the 22nd, and there was two teams that turned in bids and proposals. And on the 31st, the All American team was awarded the project. So at that point, we've already been working on the project 4 or 5 months. We had to get a schedule together. Contractor, one of his first requirements, the completion date for the entire project was August 1st, 2023. The schedule there, it's 1 page out of several pages. Basically, that schedule shows each of those 50 buildable units with a detailed schedule, each one of those. So that's what we're working off of, and this is a kind of a base map of the project. North is to the right there, but 265 runs left to right as you look at the screen. And 71's top to bottom there. It's kind of my go-to. You might be able to see it behind my shoulder here. Refer to it quite a bit. Just has all the buildable units. They're basically, out of the 50 buildable units, we've got the bridges broken out, each bridge broken out, the noise, each one of the 10 noise walls broken out, the culvert extensions. I-71 is broken out. The roadway portion is broken out in 2 sections. The I-265 is broken out into 5 sections. And then the interchange in 64 is one big project there, buildable unit. So a lot of these, they'll interconnect with each other, but it allows us to maybe get started on a bridge, or even use maintenance traffic for one of the roadway portions with a bridge. But it allows us to kind of work somewhat separately. Obviously, we're working all together and coordinating things, but be able to get a bridge turned in or a roadway section turned in prior to a bridge being approved. Currently, like Chris said, we probably started on all the design of everything. They haven't seen it all, but we've submitted 175 submittals on these. And 71 is approved. Portions of 265 approved. Several of the bridges are and culverts are starting construction. Milestone for the CD, Scope 1A, the I-71 CD with I-265 interchange is this year, December 31st. So that photo says September 8th. It was actually a month earlier. So that was about a month ago. So it probably looks a lot different out there today. The process that we've been going through here since I guess November or so. Submittals. We have each buildable unit has like a preliminary, interim, final RFC, which is released for contract submittal. Basically, our proposal had the preliminary submittal in them. They used those as preliminary and approved those. We have RFIs, which is a request for information. It's more of a formal request, something that helps document our questions, and even the GC or KYTC will ask questions on that as well to us. Like I said, a formal way to keep track of some of those. Although there are what we call over the shoulder type discussions where we we call each other up and discuss outside the design build team, I have a direct relationship with Chris and the GEC. So it's very open. It's been working very well. And then meetings, of course, as necessary. I actually have one tomorrow, which for the most part we'll just call in, but some people meet face to face. The part of our ATC 1, which was the interchange, since we made changes to that, we had to do an IMR update. As I suggested, just because you got an ATC approved doesn't mean the IMR is, or the design is approved. So currently that's been approved. Wasn't a whole lot of changes. It's been approved by the Highway Department. The FHWA is looking at Michael Moselle. I think we've addressed most of his concerns, and I don't see an issue. But our travel times are similar. There in the green, you can see. Take for instance ramp A. Base AM time was 4.1 minutes. Ours design build teams 4.1 minutes. Base PM time. Travel times, these are 4 minutes, and we had 3.9. So really no significance. They go kind of back and forth. The picture in the back is a heat speed map. If you looked at the baseline versus design build teams speed maps, they're virtually the same. There's a little difference in colors, but you get down to it, there's not much difference in travel times, usually a minute or less. Challenges, talked about the IMR, concrete median barrier. We're using a MASH approved concrete median barrier. It's a 51-inch single slope wall. Started with just a standard KYTC wall, but we've since been asked to use this 51-inch single slope wall. With that, we have some, I'll get into in a minute, show you some details, but utility impacts and right-of-way. Although the right-of-way was bought, the Highway Department bought, I think, 3 or 4 parcels prior to the project. Because of some utility changes, impacts we had and movement, we had some easements we bought for utilities. That was on Brownsboro Road. Noise walls and drainage, something a little bit different. We've had to handle. And then just overall coordination and design discipline, with all design disciplines in with the contractor, just coordinating that. Here's the concrete wall barrier. It's a 51-inch single slope wall. Like I said, little things like the top of it's 8 inches. Well, if you look at to put a mile marker sign on that, the plate is made for a 9-inch top of wall for the standard KYTC wall. So that makes some changes there. Does this wall work with our current median drainage boxes? We had to make some changes there with some extra steel in the wall as it spanned across the median boxes. Noise wall drainage details. Something that we, of course, on along 265 anyways, there's a lot of the wall is just outside the shoulder. So we decided to use a header curb under on the shoulder. We had to install a guardrail anyways. And then from that, we have a modified flume inlet that catches every couple hundred feet or so based on spread. We basically just took did a modified flume inlet, made a little bit smaller inlet. The throat of it, as it goes underneath the wall, is smaller, so the wall has no issue spanning over it. And this is just a kind of a detail here, cross section going underneath the wall, and it would go into the ditch off to the left. Just kind of wrap it up a little bit here, and just some fun facts, I guess, by the numbers. We have 6 design firms involved in the project. That's on our side. Of course, the GEC on the KYTC side, probably makes 7 there. The 65 number of people on design or organizational chart, there's probably at least, I'd say, double that in all. 180 that are actually, touch this project on our side. Obviously, the total project cost $180 million. Keeping up with accounting, just for design purposes, we have 112 accounting phases. 28 miles of roadway. It includes all the ramps, 10 bridges being replaced, and 10 noise walls, which equals, I think it was just less than 7 miles of noise walls. And then, of course, 2023 is the year ending. So that's where we're at. I got a little video. I don't know if there's any questions there we can answer, Chris, but I'll start this video, and I appreciate everybody attending. Let's see if there's a All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, everybody. Thanks to the Highway Department and everyone involved in this project, and hope to go for another 2-3 more years. Thanks.